Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fools podcast show where a Bears fan and a Packers fan talk about fantasy football. Hardik, how did this week go for you fantasy-wise?
It was a tough loss. I lost to Charlie by 5 points. I started Tank Dell, who ended up getting me 0 points because he got hurt, and I benched Jamar Chase because I didn't see how Jake Browning would help him sustain a good point score. But that was rough. And then I also benched Devonta Chan because I didn't know how many carries he'd get coming off his injury with that backfield.
Mm-hmm. And you started Devin Singletary.
I started Devin Singletary. He's been consistent, 15 points.
You did not do that this week, did he?
He got 5 points this week.
Oh man.
So yeah, it was rough. Made some poor decisions, but Tank Dell ultimately screwed me over there. What about you?
I'd say my week was a success. For a while there, I was playing the worst team in our league, Kofor, but for a while it was close because my team decided didn't want to perform. And my best player, the Cowboys defense, got 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
But then Joe Mixon decided to have the best game of his fantasy football season, and absolutely carried my team to a blowout win. So I'm proud about that. And I picked Zeke off the waiver wires in place of Aaron Jones, and that turned out to be huge for my team because 13 points. It was a crucial 13 points.
Yeah, Zeke was a massive clutch play by you, and if he's still on your waiver wire right now, you got to go pick him up.
Yeah, pick it because Ramondre Stevenson
is expected to be out for a few weeks. So,
yeah.
I guess that dives us into the waiver wire pickers for the week, but Zeke is definitely up there.
Yeah, we can talk about Zeke. As someone who had Ramondre Stevenson in another league, Zeke is now on at least half of my fantasy teams, all 2 of them. But yeah, Zeke had a huge week, and especially the Patriots not wanting to throw the ball because they don't have anyone who can throw the ball right now. I say Patriots running back is a great choice right now, especially if you need someone, especially if you have someone hurt or if you need someone or just someone to have on your team as a backup going into the playoffs.
Another waiver wire for me would be I was thinking that you would pick up the Packers defense. I know it's kind of odd to say defensive pick here, but like when you look at who the defense has or the Packers have on the schedule, they got the Giants, they got the Bucs, they got the Panthers, and they got the Vikings in the next 4. And those are 4 really favorable matchups for this defense. And the Packers team's coming alive over the past few weeks. Definitely the Super Bowl favorites if I had to make my
Oh
pick
yeah,
right
if
now.
you had to say.
Yeah.
I think that's a good pick, and I think it's only a pick a fan can make because if you look at the Packers right now, they're number 21 ranked defense, but they've been doing really well. They put up 20 points against the Lions. They put up 9 points against the Chiefs when they were only projected 5 points, and the Chiefs are the Chiefs. And then like you said, their upcoming schedule, they're projected over 10 points for the next 3 weeks.
And those last 2 weeks, what people won't tell you is that was without Jair Alexander. That was without Eric Stokes. We got our secondary completely back and healthy next week, hopefully. And so this defense has just never been healthy all year, and it's been performing well at times, and especially well over the last few weeks. And I feel like it's only going to get better from here.
Yeah.
So especially with the playoffs coming too in the fantasy playoffs, you want to have your defense locked in. You don't want to be making moves on the waiver wire and leaving your decision up for questions. So I would definitely pick up your defense now, get the Packers defense. It's gonna do you well.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick, and I think it's a pick only a fan could. Well, a fan and an NFL insider such as yourself.
Right.
But I also want to talk about QBs for a second. So there have been a lot of injuries with QBs, but if you need a waiver wire pickup, as we saw, Jake Browning might be a great.
The GOAT.
He's really good. 26 fantasy points this week. I can't say.
He passed for what, 350 yards?
Let me find his stats. But yeah, it was something absurd. Oh my gosh. It says here he passed for 649 yards and 3 TDs with only 1 interception.
That's in the last 3 weeks.
Oh, it's in the last 3 weeks. I was gonna say that's not
he
not
passed for
possible.
354 against Jacksonville on Monday night with 1 touchdown and then 1 rushing.
That's absurd. Okay, but the QB4 for this week, in terms of all fantasy QBs, yeah, Jake Browning is definitely that's a must pick up. Whatever fab you have left.
Yeah, I wouldn't say whatever fab. If you have a low amount of fab and you need a quarterback, then sure.
Yeah.
But like.
Okay, well, obviously you're not gonna spend 100 fab on.
Yeah,
Jake
but
Browning.
if you have a lot of fab, I would put a lot of it on Zeke because for the rest of the fantasy season at least, Ramondre might be out, and Zeke in that terrible passing offense, like you said, you want that guy on your team.
I don't know in terms of other QBs you could pick up other than Jake Browning. I don't know about CJ Beathard. I don't know. He's
CJ Beathard.
Beathard. Beathard. I don't know if he's good because he played like what? How many snaps?
Okay, so here's the situation with CJ Beathard. Trevor Lawrence is facing an uphill battle, so CJ Beathard will probably play this weekend and potentially the next weekend. But those 2 weeks are rough because he plays the Browns defense and the Ravens defense, 2 top 3 defenses in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And I promise you, Beathard is not coming in and dominating.
Yeah, no, he's not.
That's just not happening. And especially with Christian McKirk out too, like, don't even bother picking him up unless if you want like the potential to get negative points on your team.
Yeah,
you don't want this.
Hardick is saying stay away from CJ.
I promise you, there's better situations at quarterback. Like Mitch Trubisky, I'd rather have.
You'd rather have. Wow. Well, now that's high praise.
That's a wild.
That says something.
I'd rather start Taysom Hill at my quarterback position than that.
Taysom Hill almost had a rushing touchdown as the quarterback.
Yeah,
that could have got me major fantasy points in another league, but he stopped at the 1. I was pretty salty about that. Let me see, Mitch Trubisky, man, what a guy. Just brings back so many memories.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move into starts and sits for this week. So, do you have any starts and sits other than starting Jamar Chase and sitting Tank Dell?
Yeah. So for me, one big sit is Breece Hall. He has been really mid, and if you look at his rushing efficiency, he's averaging 2 yards a carry over the past few weeks. The only reason he's been putting up decent fantasy numbers is because of his pass catching abilities. He's gotten so many targets the last few weeks because their quarterback is so bad that they have to just throw a bunch of checkdowns. And now he's playing Houston, and I feel like Houston will put up a decent amount of points, and they're gonna get into more pass heavy game scripts as compared to when they play the Falcons and the Giants or whatever. So I would stay away from Breece Hall this week. I know it's tough because he's such a talented player, but it's not going well for him.
Mm-hmm. For me, I mean, I'll ask you this because it affects my start sit. How healthy is Christian Watson coming into this week? Is he going to play?
That guy, I have a bone to pick with him because he's so damn talented, but he's literally made of glass. It actually bothers me. He's hurt his hamstring, I think, 4 times this year now. He missed the first 3 weeks with his hamstring injury. He comes back, he gets hurt. He comes back a week later, he gets hurt, and now he gets hurt again. That's just, and it's the same story last year. So he'll be questionable for Monday. Ian Rappaport said he's more okay than he's not.
Oh, yeah.
So I would assume he plays, but the Packers are always more conservative with their injured players. So especially playing the Giants too, they don't really need him.
Yeah.
So definitely don't keep him in your lineups because on a Monday night you don't want to have Christian Watson in your lineup and then have no one to substitute.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that brings me to my start, which would be Jayden Reed. I know he didn't have a great week this week, only 5.6 points, caught 4 or 5 targets, but especially if Christian Watson's out. And Jayden Reed's been good the last couple of weeks. He's I think this week is more of an anomaly than anything for him. Yeah. And I think next week, especially against the Giants, he'll have a solid week. So if you need a receiver to start, I would probably start Jayden Reed. And then
one star for me that you should eye out is Tajay Spears because Derrick Henry just got put in concussion protocol, and I mean he might pass it, he might not. We'll see. The Titans play on Monday, which is a benefit to Derrick Henry. But if he's not, pick Tajay Spears up, and if Derrick Henry doesn't end up playing, Tajay Spears could easily be inserted in that roster because I feel like he would get a good amount of points. He just ran for 4.7 yards a carry against Indianapolis when he had to fill in for Henry's role. So he's definitely a start that you could potentially have.
Yeah.
Again, the problem is that he plays Monday night, so you don't want to put him in your lineup and then I mean it's rough.
Yeah. I'm gonna say I'll do this as a sip just because I on my team and I'm kind of annoyed with him. Tyler Lockett has been he's always up and down. He's always he's been following the trend this year of good week, bad week.
Yeah.
But the last 3 weeks have all been not so good weeks, which either means one of two things: either he's due for a good week, or he's not gonna have a good week the rest of the season. And I know obviously DK Metcalf had a huge week last week, against the Cowboys. But I think if you have better options on your roster, I think Tyler Lockett's a sit. for this week.
Yeah, totally. I feel like that we
especially
should
against the 49ers too.
Yeah. San Francisco's a rough defense. I think we should go into our boom or bust for the week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any player that you project to be a boom or bust?
I think Joe Mixon's gonna be a boom again.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Jake Browning really impressed in his outing, but I mean Joe Mixon, they went to him when they needed him. 2 rushing TDs, his best week of the season by far fantasy wise, and I expect that to continue. Especially who are they playing next week? The Colts defense. The Colts, I'm not familiar if they're good with. Are they getting against the run or no?
Like they're not horrible against the run. I feel like they're pretty average, but Joe Mixon, I mean, he's a start no matter what.
He's a start no matter what, but I think in terms of a
he
boom,
a big game, yeah.
I would say for him.
For me, a boom is DJ Moore.
Yeah, I love to hear that. Again, things I didn't think I would ever hear you say.
It hurts me to say, but I do need him to have a good week. Last time he played Detroit, he got 9 targets for 96 yards and touchdown. He totaled up 22 points. Fields is back. They're playing Detroit this week, and not the best pass defense. I feel like coming off the bye, Fields and DJ Moore will just have that connection. And I feel like their connection is really good when they've both been healthy.
Mm-hmm. I would agree as a fan.
I think he can break 30 points this week. I really do.
That would be great.
He gets a lot of targets. He gets a lot of yards. If he gets in the end zone, I think he'll get 30 points.
I love that. I'm a big fan of that take for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And there's no bias involved there whatsoever.
Right. What about busts?
No, he'll get negative too, actually. But anything else?
Yeah, so another boom I have is I mean, I want to say Justin Fields, but I can't say Justin Fields.
No, you can't go 2 Bears players. It's too
much.
But
Michael Pittman's another boom I have. Gardner Minshew came into the role after Anthony Richardson got hurt, and he's been playing well. He's been playing well due part to Michael Pittman, because all he does is target Pittman. He got 16 targets last week, 13 the week before, 12 before his bye, and he's catching a lot of these passes too. He's getting over 100 yards the last 2 weeks. He found the end zone this week. He's playing a rough Bengals secondary this week, and I feel like Gardner Minshew will just keep targeting Pittman. I feel like he can get like 25 plus this week again. He's gonna have a good week. He was such a steal in fantasy drafts. I picked him in all my leagues, and I'm so happy with the result he's been putting up for me.
Yeah, I have one more boom, and it's gonna be Noah Brown on the Texans, with Tank Dell obviously getting injured, and then he's coming back from an injury himself, but he hasn't suffered any setbacks, so he's expected to play. I think they're gonna rely on him a lot, and I think he's a potential boom for this week as well.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think you have any busts this week or no?
On my team, I'm just looking at my team. I'm not gonna. Obviously, I don't want any of them to bust. So, I won't say any of my players, but I don't know. I don't know if I have any busts for this week. What about you?
So I'm kind of confused as to the play with Kyren Williams this week. He always finds the end zone, and they've played 2 mid defenses the past 2 weeks when Kyren got back. They played actually not 2 mid defenses. They played Arizona, who's a terrible defense, but then they played the Browns. That's a really good defense. And Kyren still put up 20 points against the Browns, who's the RB9. But they're playing Baltimore this week. I'm not entirely sure if I'm confident in Kyren to do as well as he did against Cleveland against Baltimore, because their defense is just too good.
Yeah.
Plus, like 6 of his points came off a touchdown. So, like, I don't think he's gonna bust, but I mean, I'm hesitant putting in my lineup this week, especially if you have good running backs. Like, for me, it's either him or Jahmyr Gibbs, and I don't know which one I want to start this week. Sorry.
I'm going to. I just remembered someone that I would say. I think Raheem Mostert is a bust this week.
Oh, for sure. I forgot. Yeah, definitely.
So that would be my.
He's cooked.
He's also he's a sit. He's a bust. He's just
cooked.
Yeah, just if you
RB2 is great for the year, but now he's cooked.
Yeah. If you can help, if you can not start Raheem Mostert, don't start Raheem Mostert.
He is done.
That's just word of advice from the fantasy football fools here.
Yeah.
That is our definite. Don't start. Don't expect. Do we have a crisis player? I think my crisis player of the week would be Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, definitely. Because I drafted him in my other league, my 10-man, and he was so mid. Like, he wasn't bad.
He wasn't even. He hasn't even been good. But it's just like
he was so mid for the first 10 weeks of the season, and then he got a 30-something point game, and then he got 25 last week, and then he got 25 this week, and he started to really come along and be the sixth quarterback people are drafting him for. But this week, he got hurt, obviously, and Christian Kirk got hurt. And although I think Lawrence will be back in 2 weeks or so, I don't know how long Christian Kirk will take, and Calvin Ridley's been strange this year. So yeah, I feel like when he comes back, I feel like he's going back to mid form. So I feel like you definitely want to replace Trevor Lawrence now.
Yeah, I don't think there are any other crazy injuries this week other than Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be our crisis player of the week. So replace Trevor Lawrence if you can. I mean, you might have already. You might have been like Michael and just gotten tired of him and then traded him when he started doing well.
Yeah.
The week before, actually. Shout out Michael Springer. He's losing to me this week.
He should low-key be on this Fantasy Fools podcast.
Yeah, we should bring him.
He is the embodiment of fantasy football.
He is exactly what I mean, listen, 10-3. I'm 10-3 right now. You are 6-7. You've been running.
I have run.
He's run a long.
1-5.
He's run a long way. So yeah, we got to get some more bottom feeders. Maybe Michael. Daniel's been on here enough. Daniel's been on here too many times.
Yeah. At least we got Danny.
Yeah, that was one. All right, well, I think that does it for this week's episode of Fantasy Football Fools. Good luck in your fantasy matchups this week, and go catch some dubs.